What's up, guys? We're back again talking TUF, and in this episode we have the last semifinal fight between Mohammed Usman of Team Pena and Eduardo Perez of Team Nunes, and I cannot wait to just get right into this fight. So we're not going to spend too much time talking about things in the intro, but there are a couple things I guess I want to mention. Obviously, the winner of this fight is going into the TUF 30 finale and will be fighting Zac Pauga, also of Team Pena, and honestly, either one of these fights is a good fight, in my opinion, versus Zac Pauga. It's going to be really fun regardless, because Zac Pauga, he's really good on the feet, and I think he has good wrestling, like I said, because of who he trains with. Like I said, if you're training with Curtis Blades, how bad of a wrestler can you possibly be, right? But anyway, Mohammed Usman, he displays a pretty good all-around game, and sometimes, I guess, judging by the first fight that he had with Mitchell, it seems like his activity might be a little low, but overall, he does have a pretty, high-level skill set, and obviously, he trains with his brother, who is the dominant welterweight champion, Kamaru Usman. But Eduardo Perez, if you guys remember, he trains out of AKA, and his boxing is just absolutely incredible, and honestly, I think that he is one of the best strikers in the house. I think that just the way that he throws his 1-2s, the way he manages range is just incredible. And because of that, that's why I was just so interested once this fight got made by Dana. And besides that, it seemed like there wasn't really too much that happened in this episode. And like I said, when the semis started, at this point, it kind of tends to be more fight focused rather than just focusing on more things about each person. And but there was one cool moment. Kamaru Usman, the champ, came to the house and talked to his brother for a little bit. That was kind of cool. I just say to myself, that's such an advantage for Mohammed Usman, whether it be physically, obviously in terms of training, or mentally in terms of because you could just ask him so much. Kamaru has been there, done that with everything in the UFC. Even TUF, he was the winner of TUF Season 21. That was American Top Team versus the Black Zillions. One of my personal favorite seasons, actually. Also featured Vicente Luque. But, Usman won that. He looked great throughout it, I remember. And it's cool to see that Muhammad is following in his footsteps. But besides that, one thing that I kind of noticed, I don't know if, I could just be overthinking this one, but throughout this show, I've been kind of saying that it seems like Amanda Nunes and her team is a tiny bit more disconnected than Team Pena is, and I don't know if this could be the reason. It might not be at all, but I'm thinking to myself, she kept saying that Eduardo was gonna win the show from the beginning. She's I believe wholeheartedly he will win the show. And maybe that could be why some of Amanda's teams feels maybe their game plans weren't as well thought out and stuff, because she really does seem like she cares a lot about Eduardo's success, and considering that they have similar backstories and stuff like that, and they have similar style of fighting, I think Amanda definitely favors him a lot. Just based off the way that the show is cut, to me. Because that's the thing, with a reality show and really any show in general, you never really know how the editors are cutting it up, because they have to tell a story, you know what I mean? So I could be reading that based off just the way that the show is cut and not based off any actual real facts. So I will put that in there. But she definitely seemed like she was heavily invested in Eduardo and his success. And maybe that could be why, it seems like some of her team was a little bit disconnected. But I have no idea, to be honest. I just thought it was interesting to note. But besides that, nothing really happened. And I really just want to talk about this fight because I loved watching it so much. Okay, guys, so this fight truly just lived up to all the hype, if you ask me. I couldn't wait for this matchup. Like I said, when it was announced, I was so excited. And it started off pretty close. Round one was a great round. The first part of it seemed like Eduardo was doing really well. He was landing a lot of jabs, 1-2s. He was really landing a lot of kicks on that lead leg of Usman. And I don't know, it was just close, though, because he was doing that for the first half of the round. And I don't really even know if he was getting tired, because he seemed like he was all right throughout the rest of this fight. But, he kind of, seemed to fade a bit at the end of round one, and that was when Usman really started to turn it up, and he was landing a lot of shots in, a bunch of, in-the-pocket flurries. And it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't really know what the reasoning for that was, but it made the round a lot closer than it could have been. And Usman also throughout that, even when Eduardo was landing a lot, he was doing a lot of the advancing. And obviously we know, like, with judging, sometimes they take that into heavy account, sometimes they don't. But just wanted to note it. And in terms of Usman's grappling, he tried to use his wrestling a little bit in round one, but Perez seemed like he was ready for it, and it didn't really seem to do much. And Usman didn't really use it much throughout the fight after this. I think he only shot like one or two more takedowns after round one, and none of them really resulted in anything significant. But yeah, this first round, it was just very close. I personally gave it to Eduardo Perez because I thought he landed a lot more and was doing more damage. But, could have gone either way, I guess. But I gave it 10-9 Perez. Round two, though, for Eduardo Perez was a lot more of like a showcase round, in my opinion. He won this round a lot more clearly. It was a good bounce back from the end of round one. So that makes me think maybe he wasn't as tired. Maybe he just kind of like was cruising. But, sometimes you can't really do that in MMA. But regardless, this is a great bounce back round for him. He looked just basically even better than he did in round one with his boxing. He looked really smooth. The range was there. Like his range management is honestly something that was incredible to me, because like when Usman would try to counter with like overhand rights, he would always kind of like lean out of the way, and it was he just looked really good on the feet, honestly, throughout this fight. And the jabs, the 1-2s were there, leg kicks were still there, and like I said, he was just expanding upon the early part of round one. He looked really great in this round, and I gave it 10-9 Perez, so he's up 2 rounds on my scorecard. But round three, that was another pretty good round. I thought Usman won this one, though, because Perez's volume, it kind of slowed again. This might have been because he was tired, because, obviously you're going later in the fight. But Usman also was landing a lot of heavy punches in this round. The overhands were starting to find Perez's chin. But, Eduardo did have some nice moments. He had a couple nice knees up the middle. He had those actually throughout the fight, but in this round he was landing them a little more commonly. And the 1-2 was there the whole fight. Usman, he was there to be hit. I don't really, I don't know. It seemed like Eduardo was landing a lot, and, I think maybe if Usman used his grappling a lot more, I think he could have really tired Eduardo out and possibly even gotten, a finish because of that. But, either way, this round, Usman was the aggressor. He was landing a lot of power punches, and for that reason, I gave him the round. And then now we get to the scorecards. And this is where it gets interesting, because this is why I kind of mentioned Usman's forward pressure the whole time. So this fight went to a split decision. 2 of the judges gave it to Usman. 1 judge gave it to Perez, meaning Mohammed Usman wins by split decision. He's advancing to the TUF 30 finale, and he'll be fighting his teammate, Zac Pauga. And, before we talk about that fight, I do just want to talk about the decision a little bit. I personally thought it was 29-28 Perez. I could understand how people could score it for Usman due to the forward pressure. And, the end of round one was close. It wasn't like Usman was just walking forward and doing nothing. He was landing some shots. But, I don't know. I thought Eduardo looked better in that round, personally. And, it is what it is, I guess. It's just the way that the judges are going to score it sometimes. Sometimes that forward pressure means a lot. Sometimes it means nothing. And in this time, it meant the fight. So it was a good performance by both guys. They both looked pretty good in there. It was honestly a war as long as it lasted. It was a more technical one, but it was a war. I enjoyed watching it. Anytime you got 2 heavyweights standing and trading on the feet, it always makes for exciting fights. And this one was a really close one. Usman got the win. I can't even say I'm mad at it, even though I scored it the other way. Like I said, it was a very close fight. A lot of MMA fans nowadays, I feel cry robbery in fights that are just close, and I think this is one of those fights. It was just a close fight, and it went to Mohammed Usman, and now he fights Zac Pauga in the finale. I cannot wait for this fight, personally. Zac Pauga, I do like him. He followed us on Instagram. Shout out to him for that. He seems like a cool guy. I enjoyed watching both of his fights on the show. But I think about this fight, technical, I feel like it's going to be really technical. Because, both of them have high-level training partners, and I think if Usman tries to use his wrestling against Zac, Zac's going to defend really well, which means this fight might really like have a lot of cool moments on the feet. It's interesting though because Zac Pauga, he's very like precise. He has very accurate striking. It's technical, and Usman, he's more like the type of fighter who's gonna come in your like kind of get in your grill, and then hit you with those power shots like in the pocket rather than pick you apart from range like Zac Pauga is gonna be trying to do. It's an interesting fight stylistically. I can't wait to see it. You know, both guys I think are UFC ready at this point. It's interesting. There's some beef coming in too, because like I said, since Zach follows us on Instagram, so I tend to keep up like with his social media a little bit, and he was posting something on his story about how Mohammed Usman blocked him on all social media, and so he's talking a little bit of shit. He said, actually quote, he said, "Please tell him how proud I am of his growth after washing out of the PFL," which I thought was pretty funny. I don't know if you guys know this, but Mohammed Usman did fight in one of the seasons of the PFL, and he did not do very well. This is a few years ago. You know, obviously he's progressed since then, but gotta love a little bit of shit talk, you know, especially going into a big finale like this one. I'm so excited for this fight because you know the build-up is going to be fun coming fight week. And, you know, we still have one more episode to go. I mean, we got one more Talkin' TUF, one more TUF 30 episode, and it is the final semifinal matchup between Juliana Miller of Team Pena versus Caitlin Neal of Team Nunes. And this fight, similarly to this one, I can't wait. Like, I'm so excited for next Tuesday to see this one come out. And then we'll finally have our TUF 30 finale set in stone. And, I just can't wait. And obviously, you know, Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena, their fight's coming up on July 30th. You know, I'll talk a little bit about that on the next Talkin' TUF. I'm probably going to save most of it, though, for a Hurt Sportsbook episode with Tiz. But, I mean, this has been a fun season so far. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. You know, I'm really happy with the way that the heavyweight bracket has turned out. Zac Pauga versus Mohammed Usman is a great fight. And I can't wait to talk about Juliana Miller versus Caitlin Neal next week. See you guys then.